kind of thought that I could wing it in comedy, just kind of get up there and just kind of say what was ever on my mind and just kind of like, like just be me.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes it works, I think, and then sometimes it doesn't, you know?
It works for me on the nights where like the audience gives me something to work with.
Yes, if the audience is not working with you, and I think that a lot of comics out there are probably having a hard time because a lot of us do feed off of the audience's energy. So if you're trying to, you know, tell a joke and there's nobody there, there's nobody talking,
Right.
or nobody's like listening to you or engaging with you, they're just literally like
And
how many
that's
times have you been up on stage and people are just like,
yeah, and that's my main problem now is like people want me to do like these virtual comedy shows and it's like I don't really want to, and I'm not knocking anybody who does it, but a lot of my act is predicated on me working with the audience, and it's like you can't really do that when there's nobody there.
right? Did you know that the virtual comedy show was actually originally my idea?
Yeah,
Way before this happens, I swear to God, you can ask John Brecco, you can ask Abby, you can ask the entire cast of the Fat Version. I said to them, oh, you guys can't physically bring people here. I'm going to do a Facebook Live in a private group, and people can watch the show from the comfort
yeah,
of their
yeah.
own
I
home.
remember that. I remember that
You
actually.
remember that,
Yeah.
right? So who did it first? Right here, Kristen Tinsley said it first. I said it first, and then as soon as this happened, oh, I'm gonna have a virtual comedy show.
Right, right.
Going forward in the future, I will continue to do my shows that way. I will continue to have virtual options because I know it's going to be slow getting people to come back. I'll
Yeah,
even create a dummy that sits there and laughs to motivate you people. I don't care. I love comedy. I love comics, and I definitely want to see all of you guys get back to work.
yeah. It's definitely
Looking
weird.
forward to, huh?
It's definitely weird, like not seeing you guys or like being around that atmosphere.
Yeah,
Cause I've gotten used to like going to clubs and hanging out with you guys and just
yeah.
having fun. And, like the days up leading up to the shows, having the conversations and everything like that.
That
Like now,
how much fun was that with John Brecco? Like, I mean, that messenger went on for months. It went on for months,
man,
literally for months, talking back and forth. That was the best time ever. I had such a
that
good
was
time
one
with
of
that.
that probably was like my favorite show that I ever did, just off of like the preparation for the show and putting the show together and like
Yeah,
what it meant to everybody who did it.
yeah. It was. I like John and Abby a lot. I met them when I went out with I went out to their Christmas radio show in New Jersey, and I just went
Right.
out to be an audience member, for someone else, and
Hmm.
that's how I met them. And they're so young and they're just really motivated and hungry. And I have no problem with them. I think that they're the best. Everyone that was on that show was great. Victoria,
I
Mark.
met Yeah, I met John. We did a show together for Evan Weiss,
Yeah, yeah.
and he like the first day we met each other, like he helped me get off and on the stage.
Hmm.
So it was like this guy's cool. I like him, and we just kind of we just kind of clicked like right away.
Yeah.
Like it was me, him, and Eli like back in October, I think.
I don't know if I was at that show. I think I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think no, because I no. Where was the show? Was that the show at Broadway?
Yeah, it was at Broadway.
Yeah. So then I was there that night.
Yeah, that's where I remembered you from. Like
Yeah,
I
that's where.
think
Yeah,
one
that's where
day
we had met. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
That.
one day
Yeah.
you inboxed me and you was like, I know you don't know me. And I was like, I know you.
As outgoing as I am, I'm a very shy person. Like you like to be talking to everybody after the show. Me, I would rather go hide in the corner somewhere and not talk. My energy
Yeah.
just goes right down because I'm an introvert. I'm not actually, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert. And
I'm usually like that before the show. Like before the show, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to like say anything. I just want to try to get through the set, and then after that, I can have like as much fun as
yeah,
possible.
yeah, yeah.
But
I
before the
am.
show, like I don't like talking to anybody. I don't want to like go over anything. I just want to like get this done. Let's like, and
Just
then
get
we
it done.
can, yeah,
And I don't think people realize like how much in our heads we are. Yeah, every time I kind of felt like when I first started doing shows, you know, like when you were a kid in like elementary school and it was like your graduation and everybody was like, smile and wave, and you were like really embarrassed. You didn't really want to be there. So you're just kind of like
yeah,
that
right,
awkward feeling. Yeah, because
yeah,
it's kind of like I want that time to myself. But when you produce shows, you have to handle the comics also. And a lot of my shows are theme
yeah.
shows. So I have to make sure that everything is going the right way. I used to have a partner, I don't anymore. So now everything's just on me. Um, so I have to get like everything done and talk to the comics and make sure everybody's there, and then also talk to people who want to jump on the show. Also, you know, so there's always a lot going on. So and then plus I got to talk to the audience as well, you know, because they're my people. You know, they're coming to support the show or sponsors or whatever. So
Right.
it's a lot, but I love it. It's a high that I can't explain. I love productions. I love it all.
It, it's weird like not having anybody inbox me like 30 times a day about like getting my crowd together, how many people I got for the show, and all of that. Like
I will never. I never do that.
I
I
actually
try not to.
I actually miss that a lot. Like my inbox is all dry now, and
Yeah.
like nobody cares about what I'm doing like daily.
You're not gonna. I think I'm hoping that this will be the break that we kind of need as comics, even though this is a very unfortunate break. But I'm hoping that people will get out more now and stop taking for
Yeah,
granted. Oh, I'm just gonna stay home. Like, well, why should I come see a live show when I can just sit in my living room? But now people are
yeah.
used to watching comedy this way, and they will buy tickets in the future. You can sit at home all you want. You can still watch the show, and you're gonna pay for a ticket, and that money's gonna go to the comics that are performing the show. So there'll always be a
And
way to have bringers.
and
It'll never be.
and it's like now I was telling Gerald I think that this will a lot of comedians that we see now like early on, like a lot of comedians won't be back from this. I don't think anyway. Well, I can't say a lot, but some comedians won't be back.
Because there's and that's unfortunate, but we'll see. You know what I mean? There's always going to be that.
Right.
You know, when you work in the entertainment industry, the sharks swim above you, and the guppies are down on the bottom. And if the guppies know how to swim in between the sharks and get, you know,
Right.
turn into a shark yourself, then that's
Right.
who
Right.
survives. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not. So
I
speaking of
was
that, what made you want to get into comedy? Like, what was a comic that like inspired you to be like, I want to be that guy right there, or a woman?
I don't know, like, cause I didn't start until last April, so I'm almost at my 1 year anniversary,
Happy
and
anniversary! It's April 9th.
yeah, and I would say probably the biggest person that inspired me was probably Patrice O'Neal,
Yeah,
and I watched like so much. I watched a lot of his stuff, and me and my best friends, like one of my best friends named Kyle, he would always like put me on to like different Patrice O'Neal stuff, but I
yeah.
never thought of comedy as like I can do it.
Me
And then when
neither. Never thought of
yeah,
it.
and then when I finally got the thought to do it, like I should actually go out and do it, I was so nervous at the idea of people not laughing at what I say.
Yeah.
It took me like 5 years from the thought of wanting to do comedy to actually going to do it.
5 years?
Yeah, like I started thinking about it in 2014, and then I actually didn't do it till last year.
Wow. That's it. I could see that. That takes I could I just did it. I didn't realize at the time like when I you know when I grew up listening to comics you know I'm a 90s girl. So that was comedy was a big part of our life. That's what we did. You know, when we snuck out to go to the city, we would rent a limo, get trashed in the back of the limo, get high, whatever we were doing, and go to the city and go to comedy clubs. That's what we did.
Yeah.
My entire like that was our big night out, prom, all that, graduations, you know, just being turning 18, sweet 16. That's what we did. So it's always been there.
Before I started comedy, I had actually only been to maybe 2 comedy shows ever.
Wow. Okay.
And but comedy is like one of those things. It was always around.
Uh-huh.
Like I remember like growing up, um, in my neighborhood, and just like where I was from, is like certain things would come on TV, and that was like a family event. Like I remember when In Living Color began, that was like you had to be ready for bed. Like you had to
Yeah,
have
you
your
had to be
pajamas
ready for
on.
bed. Yup.
Yeah,
See, all right. Yup, you were raised right. Okay, you had to be ready for bed. Dessert was served. You sat there. You watched the living. How old are you?
36.
Okay, so I'm 39. So you were definitely, we were
Yeah,
raised in the same generation. So you were raised right. In Living Color
right,
was
right.
definitely the show. You remember the episode? I think it
So
was when she was laughing so hard that they were just bleeping everything out. They were like, beep, 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 and everyone's laughing. And like there was a pregnant woman in the front, and the baby just like shot out of her as she was laughing. That's like for
yeah,
some reason is the most memorable episode that sticks out
yeah.
of my mind of In Living Color.
Like I remember Martin too. When Martin premiered, it was the same thing. It's like the first episode. I remember like my mom was like, "You got to be ready by like 8. You got to be ready by like 8 o'clock. If you're
Yep,
not ready by 8 o'clock, you might as well just go to bed."
exactly.
And it's like I made sure that night I was ready, and I would just watch. And Def Comedy Jam too. Like
Hmm.
growing up in that era,
Yep.
would
We
watch
used to
so
sneak to
much.
watch that shit. We used to have to sneak to watch that Comedy Jam.
But see, my mom was cool like that. Like I was a little kid, but she'd be like, "Hey, like I'm here, so you can sit and watch it.
Watch it.
Just don't
Yeah.
repeat. Yeah, just don't repeat anything you hear on TV."
I was
And I
supposed to
would
go
just
see Martin
observe.
Lawrence in April.
Yeah, yeah, I saw you talking about that the other day.
I had tickets for that, and I
Okay.
was like thinking that was the first thing. It was actually my first thought in my head when the shit hit the fan with the coronavirus. I'm like, are they gonna cancel the Martin
Yeah,
Lawrence concert?
yeah. I
I
remember
really
like
wanted to go.
I remember because you remember like the first few days the comedy clubs were still open.
Yeah.
So I thought like we were still gonna be working. And then as it got worse, it was like, yeah, this is definitely not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not
And
gonna. I don't even
then
know when it's gonna happen again.
yeah. So then I just kept thinking like all the shows I had lined up, like now I'm not gonna get to do them. But it was like it's good, it's for a good reason. But it's still like
Yeah,
you want to get out there and do work.
want to do it. Yeah. Well, so if there was a comedy movie made about your life, who would play you?
Yeah. Oh man, I probably would say uh Omar Epps.
Omar
I
Epps?
I want Omar Epps to play me. Hold on one second. Can you get away from me?
Is that your brother?
Oh, my nephew.
Oh, what's he asking you a question? He doesn't see you trying to do something? He's funny. Tell him to get his ass over here. We'll put his ass on the show too. Omar Epps, really? I can
Yeah,
see that. I can see that. I can definitely
yeah.
see that happening. I could see that.
And, yeah, probably yeah. Omar Epps.
Yeah.
He's a little older, but we could make it work.
It's a movie magic. It doesn't matter, but I could see Omar Epps.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever seen anybody completely and totally bomb on stage? You don't have to mention names, but have you ever seen anyone just completely? I know you work different clubs in the city. Have you ever seen anybody just bomb on stage?
I've seen a lot of people bomb on stage. But the weird thing about it is like the audiences, even when you bomb, like after the show, the audiences are so nice to the people that bomb.
Yeah.
And they're like, you did a great job. And I was just sitting there like, yep.
Right. Sure you did. Right. Right. Like I always feel like people commenting me like like you have sex with somebody and it just kind of like it's like a one night stand. They're like, oh, that was great, thanks. Like, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay, like that's how I feel like when some people do that. Like, oh, you were really great. Like, and it's like,
yeah.
oh, thank you. Like,
Then it makes me question like how great you thought I did. Cause like you
exactly.
just
If you well, because everybody gets a trophy. We live in a world today where everybody gets a trophy, and I kind of feel like there's a lot of comics out there
right.
telling somebody that they suck is not necessarily a bad thing. I would
Yeah.
much rather have somebody tell me. I have a few key comics that I'll look dead in the face that I've been, doing shows with, since I started. I'll be like, yo, did that suck or not? Like, and they'll look at me and they'll be like, yo, was that terrible? And I'll tell you right in your face, like, yo, you fucked that up. Like, that was terrible. I've seen you do your set a million times. Like, I know you fucked up. Like, okay, this new stuff was good. You definitely need that, you know?
Right.
So, do you have any pets at home?
Do I have any pets? No.
Yeah,
Just well, in my house, like I'm not at my house right now while all this is going on,
yeah,
but at my house, I have two dogs.
yeah. Where are
Yeah,
you now?
I'm in Harlem at my sister's house.
Yeah, you're better off with your sister
Yeah,
right now. Do you live
yeah,
by yourself normally?
yeah,
And you live in Queens, right?
yeah,
Oh, you're not that far away. I used to live in Brooklyn. I used to live in Bensonhurst.
yeah.
I tell you, I wish I could go back.
I've
I know, but I said I wish I could go back. Oh, I miss you, Brooklyn.
I've been in Queens like I was born in the Bronx, but I've been in Queens like all my life.
Yeah, my mom is from Bayside, and like most of my other family lives in Flushing. Uh,
I I spent a lot of time in Bayside growing up because I used to go to this program called St. Mary's. Well,
okay,
it was at St. Mary's Hospital for Children,
okay.
and so I would go there like every Saturday. So I like that was the first time I realized like I didn't have as much. My mom didn't have as much money as I thought. Because like once you go over there, the houses look completely different. So it's like
Oh
oh,
yeah, yeah,
like,
no, yeah.
like oh,
The house that my mom grew up in sold for well over $400,000. Those people played cash, and that house was falling apart and haunted as fuck. And they bought
right,
it like $400,000 at a cash. They just walked in and were like, "Here you go, that's it," and they bought that. It was like nothing.
yeah,
It was like nothing.
yeah. So like when I used to go over there, it was like oh, they got real money over here. Like it's
They do.
clean. It's
Yep.
like,
Yep. You don't play in that area. Those houses over there are huge. They can fit a lot of people in them, and it's right next to the city. It's a beautiful area. There's a lot going on. Have you ever performed at any comedy clubs in Queens?
QED, yeah, is in
QED's
Astoria.
busy. I have no idea. I need to come to
Yeah.
the city with you because I've been stuck out here
QE,
on Long Island, and I need to get out to the city.
QED was actually like right by my house, so it wasn't that far. But that
Yeah,
was like so far, that was the worst show I ever had.
that was my next question. Like, what was the worst show that you ever had?
That one was it.
That
That
one was
show
it.
was horrible. Like my friend has a film of it, and I refuse to watch it. I never want to see that video ever in my life.
What was so horrible about it?
Um, let me see how I can say this without it coming across offensive. All right, so it was a
I'm all about
show.
offensive. I'm wearing a shirt that says "Fat Girls Swallow." I'm all about offensive.
So it was a show where it was all disabled comedians,
Okay.
and the theme of it was supposed to be love and disabilities. So I wrote to them maybe like a month before the show, and they never said anything. Like I emailed them to get like my friend Alejandra. She told me about the show, so I emailed them, and they didn't say anything to me for like a month.
Right.
And then like maybe like a week before the show, they were like, "Hey, you want to do the show?" So of course I'm thinking like I gotta go with the theme of what the show is about.
Right. Yeah.
And keep in mind, like this is a month into my like me doing comedy. And so I wrote all these jokes about like relationships and sex with a disability. And then I did the show and nobody else talked about that topic. And I was just like, holy shit, like I'm the only one that's gonna talk about this. And then I'm watching the other comedians and I realized I'm the only straight male comic like doing this show right now.
Oh hell no! You need to make it clear. When
Yeah.
I do a theme show, it's clear. Fat version, Vagisilly, it's clear. This is what we're here for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. No, 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 no.
So one lady, she got up there, she had like a whole 20-minute set. Mind you, we only supposed to do 10 minutes. She had a whole 20-minute set about her cats.
Okay.
And then like another person got up and did something, and I'm up there talking about like jerking off and like, and the people in the crowd are just looking at me like, what the fuck is going on? And it was funny because majority of the crowd was disabled, and they were like looking at me like horrified, and the able-bodied people were like cracking up at like everything I'm saying, and I was just like, this is so hard, but you got to keep going, even though like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this sucks, but I gotta like keep going and keep it up, and it was just horrible. I would never watch that video of that show ever.
I can't even like imagine. Like, I try to pick comics because I go to a lot of shows. Like sometimes I'll just go to shows randomly so I can see. Like when I come up with a theme for a show, I'll go. Like I know just by looking at you or just by knowing that you fit in. I would
Oh,
never imagine like asking a comic to structure their jokes around the theme of the show, but I would love that. I would
yeah.
absolutely love that. I would love
Oh,
that.
so, and for the people who are watching that don't know, I have a disability, so I use a wheelchair, which you can't see right now. But so
Right.
yeah, like that was a crazy night, and it was just sucked so bad, and it was like I just wanted to get out of there.
Your disability does not hold you back from doing comedy. I know
Mm.
sometimes it's hard for you to get to shows. I know it's not easy. I know
Yeah,
it's not, but that's the one thing that um, I feel like it doesn't make you any different than anyone else, and that's the
right,
that was the one of the things because we do have a couple of we have another comic that uses a wheelchair, Kieran, and we had said a governor is like you kind of need to make this wheelchair accessible because it would be nice if there's other people that could actually get on stage and do their comedy and not put their foot through the freaking plastic. I mean, even for us fat people, get some real stairs, get something in there so that people can get on the stage comfortably. um, do you ever feel like there's any sort of limitation? I mean, you got downstairs at Broadway.
yeah,
I've seen people help, and there will always be people there that will help you
yeah.
to
That
get on that stage. I wish I had that kind of help because sometimes I can't get on the stage, but I wish I had that.
like that night at Governor's, like that stage is so small, and like you guys had to like help me get up on the stage, but it was like as long as I get up there and do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
Like, look, even that night at QED, right? It was an all disabled show, and they had not planned out like how the comedians were supposed to get on stage. So I had to end up doing jokes like on the floor.
Right.
Like, I couldn't even get up on.
Which would probably have been better. Um, I'm definitely more conscious of that.
Yeah,
I would never pick a show and I would never intentionally not put somebody on a show because I didn't feel like they could get there or
right,
if I felt like they couldn't get on the stage.
right,
I would never, put it where, and never ask a comic because it's not just the comics that have physical disabilities. There
right,
are other comics that have, like mental, disabilities or other, different types of stuff. You have people, that have autism. You have people, I mean, even when,
right,
you go to the veteran shows, you're dealing with veterans that have PTSD. You're dealing with, all kinds of things that, that people are going through.
right.
And, I never looked at anyone as having, a disability. And I know that that's probably terrible to say, but my mother always raised us that everybody is born how they are and that's it. Like you
Yeah,
don't look at somebody as somebody as being different. Like, so if I see you in a wheelchair, it doesn't automatically make me think, oh, this person's in a wheelchair, they're different from me. Because my ass could be in a wheelchair too. All it takes is one car accident, one from a horse, one whatever, and I'm done. That's it. So
and the funny thing is, like in this environment with comedy,
yeah,
it actually works to my benefit having
yeah,
a disability
it
because
does.
those built-in jokes.
Mhm.
It's just as the comedian, it's how far are you willing to take it with the jokes?
I definitely would love to see you take it very far because there's things like even being a fat girl, like when I was on Put Up, Shut Up or Stand Up, there was definitely like some things that I didn't think I could talk about that were actually very funny
Yeah,
that most people don't know about being fat. Like there's just okay, you just be fat, eat a lot. No, trust me, there's a lot more than that. And I'm sure
right,
that there's a lot of things that you could say, um, that people just kind of wonder in their
The,
minds, but never ask. And then, but you could make a joke about that because you have the
the
answer.
thing the thing for me was in the beginning I didn't try to stay away from doing jokes about my disability, but I tried not to make the whole thing about my disability because I feel like when you have comedians with disabilities, everybody expects your whole set to be just about that particular thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And no offense to anybody else, but I've seen every disabled comedian do that where a lot of their set is just that.
Right.
And it's like I got so much other stuff that
That I can
happened.
talk about
Yeah,
because you're a human being and you're out there in the world and you're living your life.
right,
It doesn't make a difference whether or not you're walking on two legs or not. You're
right,
still experiencing human emotions and you're still seeing the world the same way that I see the world.
right,
So of course you're gonna have other things to talk about, just like I have other things to talk about, other than being a fat single woman that has a cat. That's
right,
what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like we all go through the same things.
right.
But I feel like a lot of people, when they do that, they go for that because they figure that they're gonna get made fun of for it anyway. But anyone that would, that would have something to say about somebody being in a wheelchair is fucked
It
up.
was,
What's
it
wrong with
was
you?
funny because I remember one night, like a couple months ago, there was another comic I did a show with, and he had a disability,
Yeah.
and he acknowledged, like, look, I could joke about other things, but this is the easiest thing I could joke about, so
Right.
I'm just gonna do this all night. And it was like, oh, it's cool that you acknowledge it. And
Right.
it was funny because I'm in the crowd, and he starts like talking about like how he doesn't want to joke about his disability, and I'm like, yeah, don't joke about it, talk about other shit. And he's like, no, I'm gonna talk about it. And like everybody started laughing, and it was like a good moment for the both of us.
Yeah, definitely. I love
Yeah,
it. I think when you were at the show and you were sitting there and I happened to bring up, it was the last show that we did, the one at Governor's, and it was John's show. And I
yeah,
was like, it was nice to see a black person in the audience because in Levittown, there were no black people. I wasn't kidding about that. And all
right,
my girls that came from Staten Island were sitting there at the table. They knew that, when I was in Levittown, I'm mixed. When I was in
right.
Levittown, there was nobody like me. There was nobody like that. So it was true. And like, you sat there and you took it, like you were laughing, and I was like, but it's
Yeah.
true. So
And a lot of times it's just like I know I'm gonna be the only comedian in the show in my situation,
right,
so it makes it easier for me because it's like you're not seeing anybody else do this tonight, so
right. So that people are gonna pay attention. Like, if you see like another disabled comic, you guys have like a sort of like a standoff with each other first? Like, how'd you get
no,
here? What are you
I
doing
mean,
here?
I usually feel like when I see another comedian with a disability, I was like, oh, holy shit, it ain't just me.
Right. Yeah.
And and then it's like, oh, all right, cool, like we could do this. And I just hope that they don't have like similar material.
Yeah.
But then it's like I also know like my life story is
It's
like the same.
totally different.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's like all right, like you could do your thing and I'm gonna do my thing, and like we just whatever happens happens.
Yeah, because it's definitely going to be different than, and
Yeah,
it's the same thing like when say, oh, don't talk about being overweight, and it's like, yeah, well, your experience with being a fat person is very different from my experience being a fat person.
right.
Like, I'm not afraid to talk about the shit that that people don't want to talk about. I'll get up there and talk. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'll get up there and talk about it. I don't
Right.
care. I'll talk about the dick bumper and all that other. I have no problem
Because
with that.
it's like for me, besides being disabled, I have like the fact that I was adopted, the fact that like, I didn't know my parents until I didn't know my biological mother until I was 23.
Okay.
And I have like a bunch of siblings, and like there's so many other things
Yeah.
that surround the disability. It's like I know nobody else has this story. So
Well, I do. I mean, I wasn't adopted, but
yeah,
I wasn't raised with my family, like my dad's side
right,
of the family. And then it's
right,
like, boom, you have all these brothers and sisters and all this,
right.
so I get it, but it's totally different. But I understand what that's
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
So it was like in the beginning, I think I just tried to do the disability stuff because it was like I didn't really know how to tell jokes yet. So it's like
Who
I'm
taught
just
you
gonna
how to tell jokes? Who taught you?
I before I actually did my first show, it was a 3 month wait period between when I signed up to do the show and to actually do the show. So
Yeah.
between that time, I watched like every documentary about comedy I could. I watched like everybody stand up, like any comedian you could think of. I
Yeah.
watched them do
You
stand up
watched.
in that 3 month period,
Yeah.
and I would listen to like podcasts about comedy. I would listen to like every comedian's album, and I just like I had to figure out like what kind of comic I wanted to be.
I never knew that there was actual different comics until I did put up Shut Up or Stand Up. And then
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I'm an observational comic. I think, or I
right.
wasn't sure like what type of comic I was. And there was actually a comic. Nigel actually pulled me aside. You should actually meet Nigel. If you don't know Nigel, you should,
Yeah, I
he's really
haven't
cool.
met him yet,
You should,
but
you should reach out to him and say what's up because when he pulled, he didn't pull me aside, but he was one of the judges and he said, listen, Kristen, this is how you structure a joke. And I'm a
right.
writer, so I was like, oh, this is like structuring an essay with, a topic, a theme, and a
Exactly.
conclusion.
Yeah, and that's how I explained it to somebody once when they asked me like, "How do I write?" I was like, "It's kind of like an essay. It's like
Yeah,
you
it's
have
an
like the
essay.
opening, yeah, like you have like an opening statement, and then there's the middle stuff, and
Yep,
then the punchline is like the closing
the
statement."
closing. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I was like, all right, well, I could do this with my eyes closed. Like, I literally have notebooks full of material because my
yeah.
stuff changes all the time. And then I just try to like have like a center theme. And then I take what I have. So every time you see me do one of my sets, it's never going to be the same set. It's just not. And I've
Right.
tried to do that, but I can't. Like I can't do it. I can't.
I'm the same exact way. Where I think like if you watch any two shows of mine, you're never gonna get the
You're
exact
not gonna, yeah, you're
same
not gonna
show
see it.
because and a lot of times too, what happens is something may happen like right there in that moment, and I'm just like, oh, I got it. I gotta say something about this.
Yeah. Or so I'll
And
watch another comic tell a joke and it'll inspire me and I'll be like, oh, I
right,
got a good joke for that. And then I'll go up there and I'll say it.
like sometimes, and like you have those nights where like there's like one person in the crowd that like everybody's fucking with, and it's like, all right, I don't want to fuck with that guy because everybody has fucked with this person all night, so I'm not
Like
gonna
a
mess.
heckler?
Yeah, no, just like I don't know. It's like this weird thing where like there may be like this one person in the crowd, and for whatever reason, he becomes like everybody's target.
Punching bag. Yeah, everybody's, yeah. Yeah.
And there was a couple times, like there was one night, there was one. He wasn't even doing anything. Like he just had a beard, and everybody just kept fucking with him. And I had noticed like earlier in the show, there was this girl who said she was hit like in New York from like some Christian school thing, and so I was sitting by them, and she kept kicking me in the leg, and so I was like in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna let her keep kicking me, and then when I get on stage, I'm gonna say something about the fact that she kept kicking me. So I got up there and like I said one joke, and then I asked her name, and she told me her name was Gretchen, and I was like, Gretchen, you kicked the shit out of me, and I know you probably thought I couldn't feel it, but I can. And and she like everybody went, hold on one second. Get out the camera. I'm not trying to be in the camera.
Was he naked?
Yeah, he had like no shirt on.
He's
So
walking around the
yeah.
house naked in the camera? Wow.
So so I just waited that whole night. I was like, I'm gonna say something about her kicking me, and like that's gonna be the joke.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it was like another guy who was like a Trump supporter. Like
Oh,
another guy one night, he was a Trump, but he came to the club. He came to the club with like 3 women, and so like everybody kept talking to him all night about him coming to the club with 3 women, but they made him feel weird about it. Like they tried to make him feel bad about it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I should make him feel like this is a good thing.
Yeah, like you're a god. Like you have 3 women. Like most guys don't even get one or half a woman.
So I asked him, I asked the crowd, I was like, I wasn't even gonna mess with him, but then I said to the crowd, I was like, who's a Trump supporter? And he said he was. And I was like, oh, you're the guy with 3 wives, right? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh man, I've been doing this black thing all wrong. And he engaged with me for the rest of the night because he felt good that I acknowledged like, oh, you doing it right. You got 3 women and blah blah blah. And we just went off of that.
Do you like doing crowd work?
I didn't at first, but like now it's like my favorite thing to do.
I don't see a lot of comics do that. The one person, I don't know if you ever met her, but the one comic that I've seen do the most, Peaches Rodriguez. Do you know her?
I've heard her name, I've never met her.
If you she's not a friend on your Facebook page, she's probably definitely one of the downest chicks you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Um, she's really good with crowd work, and I've seen her do her set a lot, and she's probably one of the realest people you ever meet. I would love to have you and her on the same show. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I'm gonna do a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate show because me and John Battle, who's watching right now, we're constantly talking about like light skinned and mixed and all this other type of stuff. And we're gonna do it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna do that because I mean I like to mix up my shows. I like to have different ethnicities on my show. I like to have everybody.
Yeah.
Like I don't look at people as being like a white dude or a black dude. I just don't. But
Right.
I like to have fun with it. Like I'd rather just throw, and I don't like to like classify people like, oh, this is the handicap show. I'll do it with women. Like I'll have an all women show. I don't really care about that. But
Right.
do you have a favorite club that you like to perform in? Like a club that's like, this is my home. Like I just know the stage. I don't.
Broadway. Broadway is my favorite. I've performed at
Broadway?
Broadway like 1,000 times in 10 months.
Who's your favorite producer?
Oh man, I gotta say Evan, because
Evan?
yeah, Evan Weiss.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a
I
cool
don't
guy.
do his shows a lot because I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to bring 5 or 6 people.
Right.
But I think Evan gave me my second show in the city, and I met a lot of great people that night
Yeah.
that are still like friendly with today.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's cool. Evan's cool.
like
Evan's really cool.
like John, Eli. I met those guys through Evan. I met Liz Larkin through Evan.
Yeah,
So he's definitely got great shows.
yeah, he does. He puts together some good stuff.
Him and Alex Starr. Like I've only done 2 of Alex's shows, but his
Yeah.
shows are really good.
I never met Alex Starr. I hear a lot about Alex Starr through Renee. Have you ever done any of the High Mom shows?
No,
No.
like I did. I majority of my shows, I did a lot of shows at Broadway, and
Yeah.
that was like that's where I did my first show because my first show was actually uh um like the what do you call that show that they do there where you can get
Yeah,
past
no, I
it.
know. I was supposed to do that in May, where you could
There.
get the residency. I was supposed to do that in May, and I'm really actually very disappointed that I'm not going to get a chance to do that because I saw the Devin. Do you know Devin Bramble?
Yeah, yeah,
All right, Devin had posted that, so I was like, oh shit, and I applied for it. And I hit up one of my homeboys. I'm like, you need to fucking apply for this shit right now because you could do this shit. Like, come on, like that's because I want to start going out into the city more. I
right.
want to start meeting like different people and different types of crowds and really throwing myself into it. But I'm not trying to sit in my house and like make my own comedy jokes and nobody's laughing. I don't care because I'm a
the,
clown. Like I don't care. I'll do it.
the
And I
funny
want you to
thing,
do it too.
the funny thing was that was my first show ever was to get past at Broadway. Like I was such an idiot. I didn't know like what any of that meant.
That
So
takes
it
some
was
time
just
to
like,
get there.
yeah, like I saw an ad and like it kept showing up on Facebook and I was like, oh, let me try to do this. And I
Oh, it's
never
fine.
yeah, I never wrote a joke in my life.
Oh God, no.
And so like they emailed me back and it was like, oh yeah, you can do the show. And I was like, oh
Oh
shit.
yeah, they don't care. Yeah, they don't care. It's just another way. I mean, it would be nice to, it's nice for your resume to be able to say that I did this.
Right,
Um, it's also good, try to check out some movie roles too, because you never know,
right,
what they might be looking for. There's a lot, I've seen a lot of different scripts out there that are looking for different types of people. I mean, my friend Teresa is always telling me, if you don't know Teresa Farrell, you should get to know her also. She's really cool.
hmm,
She's also into acting. She's into stand-up comedy. She has the show Tea Time with Teresa on Strong Island TV. She does a lot of acting. She's always hitting me up. Oh, they're looking for this type of girl. They're looking for this type of girl. You should apply. You should apply. You should do it. And I haven't really put myself out there like that yet, but I think going forward in the future, I definitely will.
right,
I think it's good to transition between, acting and comedy. It builds range,
right, yeah.
and you should
And it
definitely,
makes you
just
better
never
on
know.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you a lot better. Like I started taking an improv class, and at first, because I'm very shy, like I didn't want to get up there in front of people. I'm like, like I just, oh my
Yeah.
god. And then like they just like he like picked up on and everyone in the class was looking at me like, what? Like Kristen, you're shy? Because of course like my entire like almost all my comedy friends are there, and like Kristen, you're afraid to go up there. You're shy, and I'm like, yeah. But as soon as you turn the camera on, it's like a different person. So
Right, exactly. Like I tell people all the time, like I'm not like the most talkative person. I'm not. I
uh,
wouldn't say I'm shy. I just don't like being around like people I don't know that well.
yeah,
And so then, but it's like once you tell me to get up on the stage,
it's
then I'm
different.
just like, all right, let's go. Like let me
Right,
figure
let
this
me do
out.
my thing. And you know what? I feel like that comes from, and like that's why I have an understanding and like a connection to you, because I know that comes from the way we grew up and the way we
Right,
were raised. I know that it does, because I mean, I probably moved like over 200 times in my childhood. So I
right,
was always in a new school all the time, and I had to basically be a chameleon and fit in however I could with,
right.
however, whatever I needed to say I was, or whatever I needed to, whatever type of personality I needed to adapt to the friendly person that was around me. And I'm not saying I'm a fake person, it's just a survival
Right.
skill. So I
Yeah.
just know like that's just how I am. But the real Kristen is very,
Like by junior high school, I had to learn like I have to be funny because if I mean, and I was always like a funny kid, but it was like in front of my family. It was never like outward, like to other people.
right. Yeah,
But
yeah.
then it was like everybody always had wheelchair jokes and handicap jokes, and they
That
weren't
they would say
mean.
to your face, right?
Yeah, like they weren't mean about it, but it was like, all right, if I'm gonna be taking this verbal abuse every day, I gotta have like some comebacks.
Yeah. That's how you
And
learn how to
then
get comebacks.
right, and then I was like, well, if I just joke about it myself first, like that takes away anything you could say.
Yeah. It
And
was the
then
same thing with me being fat. My stepdad used to go at me mercilessly. And I was
yeah,
glad that he did, because he would teach me. Like I would come home crying, and my stepdad would be like, Kristen, you're like 5'9" and 200 and something pounds in the fourth grade. Like you could beat the shit out of all of these people. Just what you say. And he would
right,
try to tell me, and I'd be sitting there like crying hysterically, but that's how I learned like how to like defend myself,
yeah,
or just
right.
say it first.
And before I did comedy, like I rap, and that was another situation where I was like the only guy in a wheelchair doing it
Yeah, yeah.
around where I was. So of course, like when you battle people, it's the same concept. It's like you're gonna say something about me being in a wheelchair, or you're gonna say something about me being handicapped. So let me just beat you to the punch of it, or let me
Right.
just say something about you before you could even get to that. And it just you develop a lot of comedic ways, like trying to duck and dodge, like people saying things.
But sometimes I feel like like at this point in my life, I'm 39 years old. If somebody were to call me fat, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, all right, you're gonna call me fat. Like, what else are you gonna say? Like, it doesn't hurt.
right.
It hurt
Well,
when
now,
I was a kid, but it don't hurt now.
yeah, like now it's just like I do it now because um just when you're in front of crowds, like that's what they're thinking about. And I've actually heard people like before I get up on stage, they might not know I'm the comic coming up, And like, so then it'll take a while for me to get on stage. And I heard somebody once be like, he's in a wheelchair. And then it was like, all right, so now I gotta, and you know, people are curious. Like they want to know like what happened, or they want to know like, how did we get to this point?
Right, because they don't know. I mean, well, what is your disability? You were born with cerebral palsy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
One of my very good friends, that's why I, one of my very good friends that I met in third grade, his
Mhm.
name's Chris, and he had cerebral palsy.
Yeah,
When I first met him, he walks, but he walks, you know, kind of like with his arms, you know, like his shoulder blades are down. I mean, he can walk.
yeah,
He's married to a very beautiful woman who's a very good friend of mine. We all knew each other back in middle school,
right,
and they have two beautiful children. Um, that was my first experience with somebody that had cerebral palsy.
right,
So, and he was the nicest person to me, but he
right.
still took shots. He would always say, "Oh, your hair is frizzy. Look at how big your forearms were." He would take shots at me, and I was like, "Really?" And I didn't know what to say, like, because I didn't understand like what it was. But he was one of my very good friends, and I remember going to school, and they would teach us about, you know, people with disabilities, and plus my mother always told us that, you know, you never, you know, look at somebody as having a disability. So I just wasn't raised that way.
Right, right, right.
You know, like she always said, like never like look at some, because you just don't know. Because I was born 3 months premature,
Yeah,
so I shouldn't even be here. You know, so I
right.
definitely had
Mhm.
those, you know, those types of problems and issues as a child. And obviously my development, you know, wasn't always, you know, there's certain, sometimes there's disabilities that you don't see.
Right. Mhm.
So there's a lot of things that, you know, you just never really know. There could be someone could have an extra toe, an extra
Yeah.
ball. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right, right,
it's
right.
just, it is what it is. Like we're all human beings. So
Now I just like I said, like in school it was like people had jokes, but it was never like mean. Like I never looked at it like, oh, they're being mean to me. It was just like this is what kids do, and I gotta learn how to combat it or like just join in on it. I was never the type to be like, oh my god, they're picking on me. Please leave me alone. It's just like fuck it. If
well,
you're gonna say,
what is your dating like? What is your dating life like? Being a comic, like how hard is it for you to date? Because, you know, women
um,
get jealous because you're around, you're up on stage, you know, you're gonna blow up one day. Like,
no, like so far like it's been pretty easy because it's like um I brought a girl I was talking to shows and she saw like it was, you know, we don't talk anymore, but it was like but and like any woman that I would deal with in the future, I let them know like, you know, this is what I do and this is, you know, the work I have to put in and sometimes I'm gonna be outlaid and like
yeah,
are you gonna be cool with that? And you know, they say yeah, and if they don't say it, that's not gonna stop what I gotta do. I still gotta work.
I've had a lot of guys like when I meet men, because they'll say like, well, you know, they're not. They'll say okay at first, but I know that some guys, like I met one guy and he's a doctor and he, you know,
Mhm.
he would work nights, you know, in emergency room, and I pray for him because I know he's definitely battling it out there right now. But we really liked each other, and we, you
Mhm.
know, I was really gonna like really consider having a relationship with him because he was a really cool guy. And he just like, I was coming back from a comedy show. I was doing it with Hector Luis. That's another guy you should actually get a hold of. Hector's really cool. Um, he does a lot of shows in the city. He does a ton of people. You should get a hold
Right.
of Hector.
Mhm.
But just to say hi, you know, not even like for anything, just to like say hi and get to know these people. But I was
Yeah.
coming back to doing his show at there's a Brooklyn like public access television studio out there. I was doing that show out there,
Right.
and I was just ordering food, and he just walked up to me and was like, "Oh my god!" So we got to know each other, and you know, even though he was going to be working in it because he's an ER, you know, doctor, even though he was going to be working in the emergency room at night, he was like, "I don't know how I feel about you being out with all these guys doing stand-up comedy, like what," and I'm like, have you ever seen some of these guys? Like, trust me,
Right.
like they're
Right.
all
Right.
like 21, 22 years old. They're not interested in my 39-year-old ass, trust me. Like, it's
And
fine. Like, just
I think that's what people don't I think people either overestimate. Sometimes people underestimate, and some people overestimate what it takes to do comedy.
Yeah,
Because either people are like, "Oh, I could never do it. It's so hard." I'm like, it's not really that. Like, just
it's
get
not
up
really
there.
that hard. Yeah, just get up there and do it. And
But then it's
I
like,
push people. Like people will say
yeah,
like, oh, I want to do it, and I'm like, okay, come down to an open mic. I'll be there. There'll be a bunch of other
right,
people there. Like nobody fucks with this bitch right here. Just get up on
right.
stage
It's
and
like
do
out
your
of
thing.
everything I've ever tried to do in life, like to get into comedy was the easiest. It's just
That's the
like,
easiest thing. Yeah, it was
yeah,
because I needed to break the ice to get back into the entertainment industry. Not that I ever left, but I just wanted like a different. I wanted just Kristen Tinsley. I didn't want the special effects makeup artist. I didn't want the script supervisor. I didn't want the
right.
script reader. I didn't want those types of labels. I wanted something that I could do for me. Um, John Battle's out here talking shit. He says I think stand up is the hardest shit to do. He's a liar. Have you met John Battle, the King?
Nah.
Yeah, just he'll be on soon. Trust me. John is crazy. He's not crazy, but he's definitely he always shows up wearing a nice suit and he's very professional and he's very funny. And
Yeah,
he's
I'm the opposite. I show up to like shows in sweatpants and
so what? So
sweat.
what?
Nah, but yeah, it's definitely like as far as getting into it, it's like you just show up to a show up to an open mic, pay
And
your
just do
five.
it.
The open mic part of it is like pay your $5. They'll let you go on.
Yeah. And why not? I mean, I've actually found a lot of my personal friends in my life want one of them wanted to come on this comedy show. I'm like, but you're not a comic. Like I'm asking you questions that like comics would know how to answer. I can't ask
Right,
you, you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Yeah, like I understand you're funny. I mean, I do a lot of stuff. You know, she came on the podcast and she was good for that, you know. So I always know like where to like put people.
And see, like that's the part I think like people underestimate is like how much work we actually put into whatever we're doing
What
because
do we do?
they may look at it like, oh, it's just like a 5, 7, 10 minute set. Like, man, do you know how much work went in for
It takes
me
months.
writing this set? Yeah,
Yeah, months to develop that. I mean, for some of us, I think it's easier than others to like develop things and to be able to write things, as whereas to for other people sometimes it's not.
right,
But I mean, I know for me it's good, but then things like just come like that. That's just the way my brain
right.
works. But for
Like,
some other people, it's hard. Like they'll get an idea and they'll be like, "Oh, is this or is it this?" And they'll try to like piece it together. It just depends on how your brain works.
like I've literally woken up out my sleep, like, oh, let me write this down. Like,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
literally had moments where like I'm sleeping and something will pop in my head like really fast. I'm like, I gotta write this down right now before I lose the thought.
So you write everything down, or do you? Because I used to literally turn on my phone recorder in my car because I would get most of my ideas in the morning when I was driving to work, and then I would get a lot of ideas when I was on the bus because I have a lot of my job doesn't require a lot of thought process. Like it's
Right,
automatic. Pick the kids up, you drive the bus, it's automatic. I already know what I'm doing.
right,
So I have a lot of like free brain time to be able to like write things down, or sometimes I'll be out doing something. I'm like, oh, should I write? You know,
right.
but you know, or I'll think, oh, I can hold on to it, and then I don't. You know, I'll forget it.
No,
But
like I said earlier, like a lot, some stuff is just something that might happen in the moment. Like
yeah,
while I'm right on stage, I'm just watching what's going on in the room at that moment, and I may just be like, I may have a set, but then it'll be like, man, this is too good for me not to say
right,
anything. And then like other times, it's just I stick to a whole like 6 or 7 jokes that I got,
right.
and I never get the exact order right, but it's just always like it's like a puzzle almost. It's like what
Yeah,
joke fit together to make sure I get through this night.
right.
Like
Do you have a favorite comedy movie or like one particular comedy scene that you think that will always get you to laugh the most?
um
And this is the question that I'm going to ask you before the $1 million question. So get ready.
probably The Hangover or Animal House.
Animal House. All right, let's go with Animal House. What was the funniest scene in Animal House?
Actually, like the part at the end where like they broke up the whole parade and like how like it was just pure like dysfunction.
Right.
Like how they fucked everything up at the end. I always like that part.
Animal House is definitely a classic movie. I remember not being able to watch that. We used to have to sneak that at like sleepovers.
Yeah.
We were never allowed to watch. No, it wasn't Animal House. It was Porky's.
Oh yeah, Porky's
Porky's,
is
yeah.
cool. And but yeah, like Animal House, The Hangover, those are my two favorite comedy movies. And Superbad. Superbad was up
Superman
there.
is good as fuck. I love that movie. What I
Yeah,
like about The Hangover, I like because I'm a film nerd. What I like the way it was structured. It was similarly structured after a movie called 200 Cigarettes. It's
yeah.
actually a movie about New Year's Eve. It's a great freaking movie. I love it. It all takes place in one night. I love movies that take place in one night.
But that had Josh Hartnett, right?
No, it had Christina Ricci. It had Casey Affleck. Not Thora Birch, the other girl that kind of looks like Thora Birch. It had a
Oh
bunch.
yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah, it's not a movie that they should play it more during the holidays because it is a holiday movie. It's one of the very few New Year's Eve movies that are written in that genre. But it was very funny, and the way they did it was they showed the pictures of what happens at the New Year's Eve party at the end of the movie. And The
Yeah,
Hangover did the same thing, and it was just
right,
like
right, right.
I thought that was brilliant. Like I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I love that.
I remember like the first time I seen The Hangover, I was like, this is the greatest comedy movie I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah.
And but like that whole decade, like that whole like 2000s decade, like it was so many great comedy movies
Hot
that
Tub
came
Time
out.
Machine. Must
Yeah,
yeah. Hot Tub Time Shit. That's my favorite movie. I love
yeah,
it.
it was
One
like
of
the
my favorites.
Virgin. It was The Hangover. There was Super Bad. What was the other one with Seth Rogen and the chick from Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, knocked
Knocked
up,
up, knocked up.
knocked
Yeah,
up. Yeah, that
yeah.
was a great one. That was a good one. I don't care what anyone says about Seth Rogen. I love Seth Rogen, especially in Pineapple Express. I love him. I think
I like to watch people tell jokes that like you have to like sit for a second and be like, that was
that was
clever.
a good one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
like
there's a comic that's like that. Christina Ouch. Some of the things that she says, and like you listen to, it, you're like, oh shit. It takes a couple seconds to
yeah,
register,
right,
and you're like, oh shit. Should I be laughing at that or should I not be laughing at that?
right.
But it's very funny. I love it. I like that type of humor. You
Like
know.
it's cool when the joke's like right in your face, you can get it right away. But like when it takes a second, it's like, oh, that was good. That
And
was.
I'll laugh like 5 minutes later. I'll be like, oh shit. Like I don't get I'm the worst person to have in the audience because I'll be like, oh shit. Like it's just like there's a lot of stuff that I love.
Right.
Are you ready for the $1 million question?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Mhm.
Okay. Which comic,
Mhm.
famous or non-famous, male or female, we do not discriminate here, would
Mhm.
you take to bed?
Oh man, let me think. Let me think. I have like a weird question on Ali Wong.
Okay, I like Ali Wong. Is it because she's pregnant already?
No,
Well, she's not pregnant
actually,
now.
like the first show I saw of her, she was pregnant, and I don't know why. I thought that was like oddly attractive, but like I think like she's genuinely attractive, so I'd say her.
I like Ali Wong. Baby Cobra was the funniest shit, and then what was it? Hard Knock Wife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that shit was funny when she was like, "Oh, eat my pussy!" Like, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, she's good. I like Ali Wong. I think she's.
I don't know. Like, would you consider Aisha Tyler a comedian? She did a show. I know she did shows.
Nobody ever says Tiffany Haddish. I've had a couple guys on here and they haven't said Tiffany Haddish, and I'm like, why not Tiffany Haddish?
No, Tiffany Haddish, she's gorgeous.
She is. She is. I mean, I think
I
that
want to
and
change
I
my
just saw
answer.
her in that Madam Walker documentary.
I want to change my answer. Then, if I had to pick, I'd say Tiffany Haddish
Okay. She's
because
she's she's definitely she's making her way out there. She's making her
it's
way.
it's weird. Like even though like I just started doing comedy, I've been watching comedy all my life.
Yeah.
And it's weird to like see people blow up, and you've been watching them do comedy forever, and it's like I've been knew about this person.
Right.
Like I remember when Kevin Hart blew up, it was like I've been telling people about Kevin Hart since like 2003.
That just goes to show you. Now everyone's asking what your name is, so I can. His name is Mike Faber. I'm sending it to you right now. Now everyone's asking you what it is, so that they can hit you.
That's cool. That's cool.
uh, that just goes to show you, like, I was watching, like, on Roku, I was watching The Nanny, and I actually saw like some pretty famous actors that are very famous now that were
Right.
not famous back then having very minor roles.
Right.
So you have to keep working at it. This is not the type of thing, and like you had said before about the comics that are just going to drop off. Don't, like, whatever you want to do, fine, but you have to keep at it. You can't just drop out. Like, you just have to keep going, because you never know who's going to see you. You don't know
And
who's going to
you
do
know,
what.
what's funny to me is like a lot of people don't know. We do a lot of this work, and it's like little to no pay at this stage.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, man, a lot of us work really hard at like this stage to
Yeah.
get to where we like. It's like we work hard now so we don't have to work hard later.
Later.
Yeah,
The money will come. The entertainment industry is very funny. The money will come. I never
but
did
yeah,
this for money. It's all about credit sometimes too. Credit is worth more than money, because
right,
when you have a credit for something,
right,
even if it's very minor, people will automatically take a chance on somebody that they know. And
right,
it's the same thing with comedy. Like, oh, I'm going to put the same comics up there because I know their sets, and I'm not going to throw my money at the wild card.
right.
Meanwhile, the wild card is building their way up there, and then one day it'll
And
blow
even
up.
though
So
like, even though I only had like 10 months in at the time that everything stopped, it
right,
was like we built. I did enough work in that time frame where people are still gonna know, like the people inside the comedy world are still gonna know who I am
right. No,
when it's
you've
time.
definitely no, you definitely have made a name for yourself.
Yeah,
And I mean, I definitely look forward to doing shows with you in the future, because I know
yeah,
it's going to happen, and there is going to be a future for comedy. I mean, I don't even want to sit there and be like,
right.
oh, we don't know. Like, we are going to find a way. But I'm just a piece of advice that I could give to any comic that's out there watching right now: learn to adapt. Get on Zoom,
Hold
get
on,
on this show, and do
hold
stuff.
on. I gotta stop because I think a fight is breaking out
All
with
right,
the
Mike.
kids
Thank you
here.
so much for being on the show. I
All
will
right,
talk to you soon, my friends.
all right, definitely.
Bye, Mike. Hit me up tomorrow.
All right, I got you.
All right, bye.